And I think we might be live. Are we live? Haha, there we go. Let's see. Are we there? I think we might be. Guys, let me know. I think there might be a few of us on already. Can you hear me? I can see a few of you in the chat. We've got Neve. We've got somebody, Francis. We've got Paratrooper. Hello, Matt. It's great to see you again. Hello, hello. Haha, fantastic. The system works. The system works. If you see me looking down, guys, it's just because the chat is down there. That's where I can see you. Hello, Real Bernardi. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Co-Sonic. Fantastic. Somebody, Francis says, sir, my friends are asking, will we be doing foundation? So today's session, we have 1 hour together. We're going to be doing roughly the first 20-25 minutes will be foundation as well. It's going to be a higher paper that we do, but the first few questions are going to be foundation content as well, part of the foundation paper as well. But then after that, it's going to be higher only. So roughly the first 20-25 minutes will be foundation and higher. Then we'll be shifting into higher only. Hello, SK. Hello, Unknown. Oh, fantastic. Hello, Neve. Good to have you. Maria, good to have you. Always a pleasure. Brilliant, guys. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Today is the first session in a while. First session in a hot minute. We're going to be back with the weekly lives every Monday. Save the date, save the time. 5:30 p.m. until 6:30 p.m. M1 Uzi says, gosh, it's been so long. Yeah, guys, it's been ages. How have we been? How are we finding A-levels or apprenticeships or whatever you're doing? I just need to click a button over here. Beautiful. Guys, can you let me know in the chat quickly? Can you hear the music I have playing in the background? Can you hear the music I have playing in the background? Just a quick tech test. Let's see. Test. Beautiful. Test, test. Nice. Pen is working. Haha, come on. We're on for a good session tonight, guys. Neve says, share this with all your friends. I went from failing my mocks to getting a grade 5 in higher. Wonderful, Neve. Good to have you back. Good to have you back. Real Bernardi says, so I have a question. I don't have the energy to revise or just too lazy. Do you have any tips? 100%, 100%. I'm going to be talking about all this in just a bit. We're not going to wait too long until we get into the maths. We're going to start the maths at 35 past, so just a few minutes for people to join. So starting at 35 past. Today, because it's the first session, I want to give you a chance to ask anything, any questions. Starting at 35 past. Let's make that a little bit clearer before we get into it. I'll do a little bit of an introduction as well, because for a lot of you, it will be the first time that you're meeting me. 2006 says, what's the plan for this session? We're going to be working through the first roughly half, maybe 2/3 of a higher paper, November 2018. Also, just for anybody who's here already from last year's lives, because you're probably not going to be sticking around for too long, at the end of the session, I'm going to be dropping a little review link in the chat, a Trustpilot, because now we're moving from Google reviews over to Trustpilot. And just for anybody who was with me last year, so if you've not done any lessons with me, of course you're not going to review yet. But if you were with me last year and you're returning, guys, it would help me out so much if you could leave a little review on that Trustpilot. It'll only take you 2 minutes. The link will take you straight there. That's just like I say, for those people who were with me last year and are here for the vibes today. Nice. 45 of us. Fantastic. Fantastic. Fashion Diva says, how can I get a grade 7 as I am on a 6 right now? So the key, Fashion Diva, when going from a 6 to a 7 is 2 things. Number 1, I'm going to give the boring answer that everybody gives, that I always give past papers, past papers, past papers. If you're securing a grade 6, you will get to a grade 7, I promise, just by repping out past papers. And when you don't understand a topic from the paper, make a note of the topic, and then watch some videos on the topic, then redo another paper. If you make a list of 2 topics from every single paper that you do, you revise those topics and do a new paper, your grade's going to shoot up. The second one is working with a checklist of the topics. So you have, grade 5 topics, grade 6 topics, grade 7 topics. If you literally get the list of topics and then check the ones which are grade 7 and go through them, make sure you understand them, watch the videos, do the practice worksheets, that kind of stuff, and then go ahead and do your past papers again, you're going to be flying. You're going to be flying and you'll be up to a grade 7 in no time. A couple of people are asking where we can get the PDF. I'll start doing that at the start of these sessions. Every session, I'll share the PDF in the chat. I'll also find a way. What's the best way for me to contact you all out of interest? Do you check? Do you see when I post in the YouTube community? Because if you see when I post in the YouTube community, I'll post the papers there in advance. But other than that, you can find it on Maths Genie, Physics and Maths Tutor. You can find it on my platform, MyGCSEMaths.com. Guys, I've got some really nice free resources launching over the next couple of weeks, which I can't wait to tell you about. One of them is a past paper tracker, which is genuinely going to be a complete game changer. I've kind of come up with this maths mastery system, I'm calling it. 3-step process. You do you revise the topics using a rag tracker and a topic list. Next stage, you do mixed topic practice, kind of like Corbett Maths 5 a day, but my own version of Corbett Maths 5 a day, kind of similar theme. And then you go through past papers, and I've got trackers and all of this stuff is going to be completely free, and I'm gonna be releasing it over the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. Okay, guys, drop ready in the chat if you're ready. I'm conscious that a lot of you just want me to get going with the revision, so I'm not going to waffle for too long. We are going to do an extended Q&A at the end of today's session, or not an extended Q&A, but a bit of a Q&A, so we can save it for that. Ready in the chat for me if you're ready, guys, and we will get going. Yashi's ready, Sonny's ready, Emanjo's ready. Beautiful. Ready, says Muzi's with those lightning bolt emojis. Come on. Okay, guys, let's get going. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Matt. I'm the founder of MyGCSEMaths, and I've been doing this for a few years on social media. We have a website, we have kind of a premium subscription, but we also put out a load of free content, including from this week, a live lesson every single Monday, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. only on YouTube. It's been a pleasure over the past few years helping people, make progress and succeed in GCSE maths. And like I say, I want to keep pumping out these free resources. Super exciting. This week, starting today, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. every single week, a mixture of foundation revision and higher revision. Okay, let's have a look. Question number 1. Work out the value of 3 to the power of 7 times by 3 to the power of minus 2 over 3 to the power of 3. And we want this answer as a number. Answer in the chat for me when you're ready. We have about 40 of us at the moment, which is fantastic. Okay, a few answers going in the chat. Yep, a couple of people saying, I'm not sure how to do this. It's actually quite tough for a first question of the paper, I would say. Sonny says, I haven't ever learned this. Okay, guys, I would really like it. I would really love it if you don't know how to do a question, but then you understand it after I go through it, to just let me know in the chat. That would be so cool, because the reason I do this is for people to make progress. It's fantastic when people get the answers without me going through it. But if you don't understand it, but you understand it after I've gone through it, guys, let me know in the chat. That would be really, really cool. Really cool. Okay. Question number 1, let's have a look. Work out the value of 3 to the power of 7 times by 3 to the power of minus 2 over 3 to the power of 3. Now this topic is our laws of indices, our index laws. We can see that we have a number to a power times by the same number to another power divided by the same number to another power. When we have a base to a power and we times it by the same base to another power, we add those powers. So dealing with the numerator of the fraction first, we're going to add together the powers. So we're going to have 3 to the power of 7 plus minus 2 on the top. Now, when we add a negative number, we take it away. So this is essentially 3 to the power of 7 minus 2, which is 3 to the power of 5. So that's our top. So we have 3 to the power of 5 over 3 to the power of 3. Now, when we have a fraction like this, what does it mean? It means we're dividing the top by the bottom. So this is actually 3 to the power of 5 divided by 3 to the power of 3. When we have a base to a power divided by the same base to another power, we subtract those powers. So we're going to have 3 to the power of 5 minus 3, which is 3 to the power of 2. 3 to the power of 2 is 3 squared, which means 3 times by 3. 3 times by 3 is 9. So our answer to question 1, guys, is 9. Fantastic job if you got that one. Any questions, let me know in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to get going with question number 2. The format you've probably already guessed is that I'll give you a little bit of time to go through the question, to have a think about how to do it. Hopefully some of you have the paper printed out, or you're working with pen and paper and you're doing this question yourself. That's the best way to get the most from these sessions. I give you time to solve it, and then I go through the answer. Okay, let's have a look. Somebody said, I understand it now. Fantastic. Did anybody not get it, but then understand it after I went through it? 52VV said times equals add, divide equals subtract. Exactly. When we're working with those laws of indices, when we times one base to a power by another, the same base to another power, we add the powers. Dividing, we subtract the powers. Nice. Okay. A few answers going in the chat. Let's have a look at question number 2. Question number 2. What topic is this for me, guys, in the chat, if you know it? What topic is this? Does anybody know the name of the topic? Yeah, exactly. Akaditos has got it. Substitution. Yeah, exactly. A couple of people saying physics. Yeah, this actually does come up in physics. This does come up in physics as Suvat equations, but in maths, in this situation, it is a substitution question. Substitution. Basically, the question says that v squared is equal to u squared plus 2as. We're told that u is equal to 12, a is equal to -3, and s is equal to 18. We're then asked to work out the value of v. What do we have to do? We have to plug in each of our values for u, for a, and for s, and then rearrange to find v. So we're going to have v squared equals u squared, well, u is 12. So 12 squared plus 2as. So 2 times by a is -3, times by s is 18. Simplifying, we're going to have v squared equals 12 squared is going to be 144, 12 times 12. And then we're going to have 2 times -3 is -6. So minus 6 times 18. So what I did was I combined the 2 and the -3. That gave -6. And then we have times by 18. Now 6 times by 18, what is it? 6 times by 10 is 60. 6 times by 8 is 48. Adding those together, we get 108. So we have v squared equals 144 minus 108. Now, 144 minus 108, that is going to be 36. So v squared equals 36. Now, what does that mean that v is? Well, v is going to be equal to the square root of 36, and the square root of 36 is 6. But wait, is 6 the only number that when we square it gives 36? Actually, we have -6 as well, because when we times a negative by a negative, we get a positive. So -6 times -6 is also 36. So our answer is actually plus or minus 6. So we have +6 as one answer, and then we have -6 as the other answers. So our answers here is that v is equal to 6 or -6. Let me write or in the middle there. Quite nasty, to be honest, that they throw that little trick in with the or already in question 2. But hey ho, hopefully that made sense, guys. Hopefully that made sense. Any questions, let me know. And have a quick look at the chat before we go through it. Neve, thank you very much for holding it down. I appreciate it down there. Let's see, guys. Any questions? Good work, my das. Okay, a lot of people were saying just +6. So, to be honest, for 2 marks, it's quite a lot to do, right? Quite a lot to do. Does it make sense why we had the negative there as well? Somebody said, do you have to say or? If you said 6, comma, -6, you would also be okay. But you're better off saying or. Okay. Let's see. Any questions? Any questions? Not many people said plus or minus 6. Okay, part B then. I know this one's a little bit harder to have if you don't have the paper printed out, but or a bit harder to try and solve in your head. But hopefully if you had the paper printed out or if you have pen and paper, you gave this a go. So question 2B, what are we going to do? It says make S the subject of v squared equals u squared plus 2as. So this time we have a classic rearranging question. Basically, make S the subject means we want something which says S equals and then everything else, bunch of other letters. At the moment, we can see that the S isn't on its own because it has a U squared and it also has this 2a attached to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the U squared to the other side and then we're going to move the 2a to the other side. Now, when we move things to the other side, we always have to make sure that we do the opposite to get rid of it on the current side. So in this case, we're going to start off by moving over the u squared. So we're going to minus u squared from both sides because we have a positive u squared at the moment. So we're going to have v squared minus u squared equals 2as. And now to get the s on its own, well, what's happening to the s at the moment is being multiplied by 2a. So we're going to divide both sides by 2a. Divide by 2a, divide by 2a. On the left-hand side, we're going to have v squared minus u squared over 2a. And on the right, we're going to have equals s. And that is going to be our answer. So s equals v squared minus u squared over 2a. Now, if you want to, you could write it the other way around. So s equals v squared minus u squared over 2a. Either one of these is going to be completely fine. Okay, question number 3, a longer question here, 5 marks. I'm going to set up a quick poll, actually. I'm not sure if the mods have perms to do polls, but I'm going to go through this question. We can see that it's 5 marks. Are people actually doing the paper? Like, would you prefer for me to just go through the answers straight away or to give you some time to do it? I'm going to set up a quick poll. Okay, start a poll. Shall I just go through or give you some time? Just go through them. Give us some time. Okay, Neve is saying, don't think you do have poems. Let me see, Neve, if I can set you up with poems to do that. Let's have a quick look. Pin message, that doesn't work. Go to channel report. No, definitely don't want to do that. Okay, Neve, I'm going to find some way to try and make you a senior moderator, maybe. And maybe you as well, Muzzy. Oh, I was supposed to say give us some time, not just go through them. Sorry, not just give us some. Okay, 46 people watching at the moment. At the moment, it's literally 50-50. So if anybody votes now, your opinion's really going to be important. You might have the deciding vote. Muzzy said if it's only 1 hour, then it would be best to give them 5 minutes to go through. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too, guys. I think it's going to be way more beneficial if I give you a little bit of time. I know people might stay a little bit less time. Okay, let's have a look at this question, and I'll drop some hints right now because it's a long one. It's a long one. So question 3 says a bonus of £2,100 is shared by 10 people who work for a company. So a bonus of £2,100 just means that the people who work for the company get some extra pay, and the extra amount that they get is £2,100. And when this is shared between the 10 people, they're going to split this money equally. But we can see that they then describe a different situation where they're not all paid the same amount. And then we're asked, basically, if they get more money, if they do get more money, how much more money they get, and so on and so forth. Okay, team, what do we think? Let's have a little ready in the chat for me when you're ready for this one. Let's have a little ready in the chat for me when you're ready, and we're going to go through it. So cool to see quite a few of us on tonight. First weekly live, and this is going to be, I think we're going to form a really cool community here. I can already see some people regular in the chat. We have Fashion Diva, Zenitsu. Great to have you, Zenitsu. Sonny as well, Unknown Obi. Fantastic, guys. Emmanuel. Okay, Fashion Diva's ready. Reynaldo's ready. Okay, guys, let's have a look. Question number 3. The question says, a bonus of £2,100 is shared by 10 people who work for a company. 40% of the bonus is shared equally between 3 managers. The rest of the bonus is shared equally between 7 salesmen. One of the salesmen says, if the bonus is shared equally between all 10 people, I'm going to get 25% more money. Is the salesman correct? You must show how you get your answer. What we're going to have to do here, guys, is work out the amount that the salesman gets in 2 different situations. When they get the equal share, but also in the current situation where the managers get some extra. So what would happen if it's shared equally? That one's a little bit quicker and a little bit easier. So we have £2,100, £2,100, and if it's shared equally between 10 people, to work out how much each of them get, we can simply divide it by 10. 2,100 divided by 10, we just knock one of the zeros off the end, and that gives £210, and that I'm going to put in brackets as if it's equally shared. Equally shared. Now, what about in the current situation? Well, in the current situation, 40% is shared between the 3 managers. How much does that leave for the salesman? Well, the salesmen are going to get 60%. The salesmen are going to get 60%. That's because there's 100% in total. If the managers get 40%, the salesmen get 60% total. Now, how much is that between all of them? We're going to work out 60% of £2,100. So 60% of £2,100. We're going to work out 10% of £2,100. So 10% is going to be £2,100 divided by 10, which is going to be £210. And then to go from 10% to 60%, we can simply times this by 6. So 60% is going to be 6 times this. So I'm just going to write that in there. So times by 6. 210 times by 6, you could do this using the column method. I'm going to do it in my head. So I'm going to do 200 times by 6 is 1,200. 10 times by 6 is 60. Adding them together, £1,260. So this is going to be the amount which is shared between the salesmen when they get 60% of the money. But they don't each get that much. That's shared between 7 of them. So we're now going to do our £1,260. This is a long one, guys. Divided by 7. 7s into 1 goes 0 times remainder 1. 7s into 12 goes 1 time, remainder 5. 7s into 56 goes 8 times. 7s into 0 goes 0 times. So they get £180 each. And this is when it's not equally shared. The question though, what does it say? It says, if the bonus is shared equally, I'll get 25% more money. In order to work out how much more money they get, well, first off, we need to find the difference. So we need to do the £210 that they would get if they equally shared it, minus the £180 they get with the current deal. So £210 minus £180, and this is going to be £30. So they get £30 extra. Well, is this 25% more? Now we need to find £30 as a percentage of the amount they actually get. So £30 as a percentage of £180. And we need to see if this is 25%. So we're going to do £30 over 180 to work it out as a fraction. And we want to see whether this is equal to 25%. Now, this is tough, to be honest. How do we see whether this is equal to 25%? Well, we can simplify this fraction and see where we end up. So let's start off by dividing the top and bottom both by 10 because they both have a 0 on the end. So we're going to have 3 over 18. We can now divide the top and bottom both by 3. We get 1 over 6. And we can see that this is not 25%. So let me just write that a bit clearer. Not 25%. How do we know that 1 over 6 is not 25%? Well, 1 over 4 is 25%. We know that. We know that a quarter is 25%. So 1 over 6 is not 25%. Guys, I feel like I was just talking for absolutely ages. Let me know. How did we find that one? Mr. Loyan said, sir, how late am I? Not too late, mate. We got started about 25 minutes ago. So you're right on time to get into some of the more challenging questions. SK says, interesting pound sign. Yeah. Yeah, Mida says, dude, this was so confusing. It's a tough question. I mean, 5 marks, guys. 5 marks is a long question. It's a tough question. Okay, we're going to go through question 4 next. This is another good one. Let's go through question number 4. Thank you, Muzzy, for holding it down in the chat. Julia Count said, could you help us evaluate keywords in questions so we know what we're being asked? For example, factorization versus completing the square. That's a really fantastic question, Julie. Really, really good question. What I'm going to say for that is by joining the live streams and by going through the papers together, you're actually going to find over time that you pick up an understanding of this just from us doing the papers together. Because one thing you can do is you can kind of look into specifically, those keywords in the questions and try and learn them. But actually a better way to think about it is if I do enough past papers and if I practice enough questions, then all of that information about the question wording will fall into place as I practice the questions individually. Muzzy said, if you don't understand something, you can always look back on the stream. Yeah, absolutely. So all of the live streams are recorded. They're uploaded straight to the channel under the live section, but I'm also going to be uploading them as separate videos on the main section because I think more people see them there, right? So I'm going to upload them over there so you can watch them back. You can also rewind whilst we're live if you want to. Okay. What about this one, guys? Drop ready for me in the chat if you're ready and we're going to go through it. Let's have a look. Somebody, Francis, said, sir, by the way, are these also helpful for the IGCSE students? Fantastic question. And the answer is yes, definitely. So IGCSE and GCSE are really, really similar. They're about 90% similar. There's a few extra topics or a couple of extra topics on IGCSE, but by practicing this, you're going to practice loads of the IGCSE content. So yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, guys. Question number 4, let's have a look at this one. It says it would take 120 minutes to fill a swimming pool using water from 5 taps. How many minutes will it take to fill the pool if only 3 of the taps are used? Now this topic-wise is in our direct and inverse proportion. And some people like to think of it as setting up equations, but for these ones, guys, for the real world problems like this, you definitely don't want to be thinking about that. The better way to think about it is actually kind of using logic and thinking, okay, well, if I had that many times more or less resources or sources going into something, then how many times more or less time will it take? Let me show you what I mean with this one. So it says it would take 120 minutes to fill a swimming pool using water from 5 taps. Okay, if we have 5 taps running, 120 minutes. How long will it take to fill the pool if only 3 of the taps are used? Well, first off, how long would it take if 1 tap was being used? Well, if we have a fifth as many taps, we're going to have a fifth as much water going in. So it's going to take 5 times as long. So 5 taps are going to take 120 minutes, but 1 tap, so 1 tap would take 5 times as long. So 5 times 120 minutes, 5 times by 12 is 60. So 5 times by 120, we add the 0 on, is going to take 600 minutes. But we don't have 1 tap, we have 3 taps. If I go from 1 tap to 3 tap, I have 3 times more water going in. So it's going to take 3 times less time. So that's 600 minutes. So 3 taps would take that 600 minutes is going to be chopped down. We're going to divide it by 3. So 600 divided by 3, because we have 3 times more water going in. And that is going to be 6 divided by 3 is 2. Add 2 zeros on, 200 minutes. So our answer to that one is 200 minutes. Good work, 52VV. Great work, My Dice as well. Fantastic. 2006 Genie answering that next one. Wonderful. Says it's 200 and all of the taps flow at the same rate. That is what we've assumed. Part B, state one assumption you made in your working out or in working out your answer to part A. What's the assumption? Well, we've assumed that all of the taps are pouring water at the same rate. If this 1 tap, or let's say if these 3 taps were pouring twice as quickly as the 5 taps, it would actually be quicker with 3 taps than 5 if they were pouring quicker. So what we've assumed in order to do this multiplication and division based on how many taps we have is we've assumed state one assumption. So we assumed they all flow at the same rate. That was what we assumed. Fantastic. Okay, question number 5. This one is tricky. This one is tricky. Normally, we'd probably skip forward, to be honest, to some of the latter questions, but this paper has some of the tough ones stacked up at the start. Okay, let's take that poll down. Fernando Goat Lonzo. What a name that is. What a name that is. You're very welcome, my friend. You're very, very welcome. Okay, I'm just going to close the window, guys, because it's getting freezing in my apartment. And I'm going to be back just now. Turkey says the F1 mentioned. I do like a bit of F1. I do like a bit of F1. One of the most common questions in the Q&As is for my favorite sports. It's actually the UFC and the F1, especially the UFC, to be honest. Question number 5. I can see a few different answers going in the chat. Couple correct, couple not correct. And what I'm going to say, guys, as a bit of a hint for this one, is what we want to do is we want to start off, well, firstly, it says estimate. So if you didn't see that already, we're going to be estimating. So some of you might have been trying to work this out with 213. Because we're estimating, we can round the 213 down to 200. That makes life a bit easier. And then we're going to say, well, 200 miles per hour, or 213 miles per hour rounded, that's 200 miles in 1 hour. And we want to know how many seconds it takes to travel 1 mile. So we're going to be working down to 1 mile in a certain number of seconds. So we need to convert this into seconds. And then after we've done that, we're going to convert this into miles and down actually to 1 mile. Zenitsu says, oh, wait, I get it. Fantastic. Fantastic. Because this is a tricky one, Zenitsu. This is a tricky one. Okay, team, let's have a look. So I'm actually just going to move it to the left a little bit. So question number 5. A plane travels at a speed of 213 miles per hour. Work out an estimate for the number of seconds the plane takes to travel 1 mile. Well, first of all, as we said, we're working out an estimate. So we're going to round this 213 to something which is a little bit nicer to work with. When we're estimating, there's not really a hard and fast rule for what degree of accuracy we do it to. But in general, one significant figure is pretty good. So 213, we can round down to 200. Now, we know that it's 213, or in our case, 200 miles per hour, so miles in 1 hour. And we're going to work down until we have this in seconds and until our miles is down to 1. Let me show you what I mean. So 200 miles in 1 hour, this is like saying 200 miles. So 200 miles in how many minutes? Well, there's 60 minutes in 1 hour, so this is in 60 minutes. And we're now going to go to seconds. This is like 200 miles in, well, we know that there is 60 seconds in a minute. So to go from minutes to seconds, we're going to have to times it by 60 again. 60 times by 60. 6 times by 6 is 36, but it's 60 times by 60, so 2 extra zeros. We get 3,600, and that is our number of seconds. And I'm just going to make this super clear. We times by 60 there, and then we times by 60 again. Now, we don't need the number of seconds for 200 miles. We need the number of seconds for 1 mile. So now we're going to work down from 200 miles to have 1 mile on the left-hand side. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go from 200 miles to 2 miles because we can divide this quite conveniently by 100. So how long would it take to do 2 miles? Well, it would take 100 times less time because we divided this by 100. So we divide the amount of time by 100. So that's going to be 36 seconds. And there we divided by 100. I'll just make this one clear as well. Divide by 100. And then how many seconds for 1 mile then? Well, how do we go from 2 miles to 1 mile? We're going to divide by 2. So we can divide our number of seconds by 2 as well. 36 divided by 2 is going to be 18, telling us that we have 1 mile in 18 seconds. This is one that very few people actually got right when the exam was sat. Let's talk in the chat, guys. Nice work. 10 is Zenitsu. If you got that one, really good work. Really good work. Because that one's not easy. Calendar, thank you very much. Okay, part B. What do we think, guys? Is it an underestimate or an overestimate? Zenitsu said, I'm doing comp science or comp ski computer science while watching this. Good to have you on. Good to have you on. Julie said, I really like that you structure it like a recipe so we can see the steps. Tasty, tasty. Very nice. My pleasure. I'm glad that helps. Okay, what do we think, guys? Is this an overestimate or an underestimate? Well, let's have a think about it. We were estimating the number of seconds it takes to travel 1 mile. So we estimated the number of seconds for 1 mile. We said it was 18 seconds. What we did was we rounded this speed down. So we assumed that the speed was slower than it actually was. We assumed that the speed was slower than it actually was. Really, they were going quicker. Now, what does that mean about the time? It means it would be less time. So it would take less time in reality. So it would take less time in reality. Why? Because we're driving quicker in reality than we assumed. We assumed they were going 200. It was actually going quicker. What that means is it would take less time. So did we overestimate or underestimate? We overestimated. We said it would take 18 seconds. Actually, it would be quicker. So it would take less time. We overestimated. We overestimated. It's quite tricky, to be honest, to get your head around whether that's an overestimate or an underestimate because, yeah, we rounded down the speed, but that made our answer too big, if that makes sense. Neve says, Matt gives an all right. Okay, guys, question number 6 up next. Any questions for that previous one? Let me know in the chat. Any reflections as well. Unknown OB2KO says, huh? Yeah, a lot of people said, oops. Yeah, it's so easily done, right? That little, like, you underestimate the speed, so you overestimate the time. Because you think, or you assume you're going slower than you actually are, which means you assume you take longer than you actually do. This is a classic, guys, this question 6. Solve the simultaneous equations, but it's a tough one. Just for anybody who's doubting themselves at home, this one is going to involve some decimals. I remember doing this on live last year. So this one does involve decimals. So if you get decimals in your answer, that's okay. Akat says simultaneous equations. Let's go. Come on. Hey, thank you, Jenny. John, I appreciate that very much. Any questions, guys, in the meantime? To be honest, I think 3 marks is a bit harsh for this one. I would have said it should be 4. 3, 4. Probably 3 is actually fine. 52 VV says elimination is easier than substitution. The age-old debate. What's the better method for simultaneous equations? Elimination or substitution? Depends. For quadratics, definitely substitution. For these linear simultaneous equations, it depends. You can do either. I personally will go for elimination. Maidasif says, dude, stop saying everything is difficult. It confuses the student more. Yeah, this is a really interesting one. Stop saying everything is difficult. It confuses the student more. So when I say things are difficult, I base it on in the examiner's reports where people get the grades and where people get the marks and don't get the marks. So sometimes, if you think about it, guys, you might not know this. Actually, drop in the chat for me if you know. What percentage of people fail GCSE maths every year? Does anybody know this? It's crazy. Have a guess, guys, in the chat for me. What percentage of people fail? So get below a grade 4. So 3, 2, or 1. But actually don't just put up high numbers, actually guess. Oh, you actually know. You guys know. Yeah, it's a third, 47%, 35%, third, 30, 64. So 40% fail. Last year about 40.5% failed. So if 40.5% failed, do you think people are getting the tricky marks or like the last couple of marks on most questions? So question 5, most people are not getting. That's a grade, I'd say it's a grade 6 question. And if it's a grade 5 question, or if it's a grade 4, already you're at 50% of people getting it. If it's grade 5, you're at even less, right? So it's tough out here. But yeah, Neve, you're exactly right. I don't know it, but it won't be us because we got Matt. Whoop, whoop. Absolutely, guys. You're not going to be in that position. You're not going to be in that position. Especially if you're starting now with the revision, you're putting yourself in a good spot. Okay, question number 6, guys. A little ready for me in the chat when you're ready for it. And we'll go through it. Question number 6. That's actually another really good question. Who's that from? 06 Genie. That was a really good question. I'll answer that just afterwards. Yeah, 2006 Genie. Okay, quite a few people saying that they're ready. Let's have a look at question number 6. Solve the simultaneous equations 5x plus y equals 21 and x minus 3y equals 9. So if you haven't done this topic yet, this will probably make no sense to you and you definitely want to watch a video because it comes up pretty much every year. But let's have a look. What are we going to do? Well, the first step with solving these simultaneous equations is going to be to get a match next to either the x or the y. So we need to multiply either one or both of the equations by something to get the same number next to either the x or the y's. I look at the y's, they're not looking too nice because we have a positive 1 and a negative 3, makes life a bit tricky. But with the 5x and the x, we could times the second equation by 5, and then we're going to have a 5x in both of the equations. So I'm going to times that second equation by 5. So I'm going to rewrite that first equation, 5x plus y equals 21. And I'm going to times this second equation by 5. So I'm going to get 5x minus 3y times 5 is 15y is equal to 9 times by 5 is 45. Now that I have a match next to the x's, I can subtract one equation from the other equation. What does that give us? Well, we're going to have 5x take away 5x is 0x, so nothing, so they cancel out. We're going to have y take away negative 15y is y plus 15y, which is going to be 16y, and that's going to be equal to 21 minus 45. Well, this is going to be negative because we're taking away a bigger number from a smaller number. 45 take away 21 would be 24, so we're going to have negative 24. And now we can rearrange this to get a value of y. So we can divide both sides by 16. Y equals negative 24 over 16. Now we can simplify the fraction, divide the top and bottom both by 8, negative 3 over 2. And we could either leave this as a fraction or write it as a number, negative 1.5. Now that we have our value of y, we can substitute this back in to get our value of x. So we're going to have x minus 3y, so x minus 3 times by minus 1.5 equals 9. We're going to have x minus 3 times by minus 1.5 is plus 4.5. So x plus 4.5 equals 9, minus 4.5 from both sides, x equals 9 minus 4.5 also happens to be 4.5. So now we have our value of x, and we have our value of y. So our final answer for this one, team, is going to be that x is equal to 4.5 and y is equal to minus 1.5. If you got that one, amazing work. Let's see, any questions in the chat? I'm going to put the next question on the screen now, just so you can see it. Yeah, we're definitely going to go through question 7. But if you have any questions about that last one, let me know. Let's see. Oh, who said that? 52VV said horrific question 7. I think, especially based on the ones that you've got so far, you're definitely capable of getting this 52VV. So let's see what you think after I go through it. Hopefully I'm going to make this really clear for you. Neve says, Matt, you should do the setup photos again. I'll definitely show some of them. That's going to be really cool. That was fantastic last year. And we'll do that again closer to exam time, maybe as a treat once we get going and once the community's starting to form, once we have the people coming back every week. Yeah, it's going to be a really cool community that we get here. Fashion Diva says, what paper will you go through next week so I can print it off? I'm going to plan them all ahead of time. And I'll find a good way to put the schedule. I might put them on the website, MyGCSEMaths.com. I might upload them on the YouTube. We'll have to see kind of where the most people are going to have access to them. If you haven't checked it out already, by the way, guys, MyGCSEMaths.com is live. I have 400 videos on there, which aren't anywhere else on the internet, only on the platform, so you can check that out. And soon, not next week, but the week after, we're also going to have about 500 worksheets on there. So we're going to have 5-a-day worksheets split by grade. So we're going to have grade 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we're not. We're going to have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 worksheets on there. Kind of mixed practice. We're also going to have single practice worksheets. That's all going to be up there in the next, I estimate, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at a push. But already there's about 400 videos up there. Question number 7. So a little hint for this one, guys. We're going to work out the area of this sector or quarter circle. This is a quarter of a circle. Quarter of a circle is going to be pi r squared over 4 because pi r squared is the area. Pi r squared divided by 4 will be a quarter. This is a semicircle. We're going to find the area of the semicircle, take it away from the area of the quarter circle, and then we're going to divide that by the area of the square. The area of the square, we have a length here of 20, height of 20, so it's going to be 20 times 20. That's my hint. Now I'm going to give another 2 minutes. No, not 2 minutes, 1 minute, and then I'm going to go through it. Yeah, great question. Julie says, sorry if this is a silly question. It's my first live. Where can I find the best practice questions and past papers? Definitely not a silly question. It's a fantastic question, Julie. And Julie, this is all of our first live. This is the first live of this year. Starting from this week, I'm going to be live every week, 5:30 to 6:30 on YouTube. But this is the first one of the season, so you're not late at all, and it's a great question. I would say at the moment, First Class Maths is the best website for videos, worksheets, all of that stuff. MyGCSEMaths.com, though, next couple of weeks, we're going to be coming out with a lot of stuff. So in 2-3 weeks' time, hopefully, I'll be pushing you to my website, MyGCSEMaths.com. But for now, I'm going to have to say First Class Maths is the place to go. Okay, team, let's get a little emoji in the chat for me if you're ready for this one. And we will go through it. Haha, 52VV with their emoji. Little tongue out and winky emoji. Muzzy's ready. Nice, Richard. Good to have you on, my friend. Okay, question number 7. Let's have a look. The question says, the diagram shows a square ABCD with sides of length 20 centimeters. It also shows a semicircle and an arc of a circle. We're told that AB is the diameter of the semicircle, okay? AC is an arc of a circle with center B. Show that the area of the shaded region over the area of the square is equal to pi over 8. So we know that we're going to have to work out the area of the square and the area of the shaded region. Let's go ahead and do the area of the square first of all. I'm going to go to a nice green color. So the area of the square, this is the nicest part definitely, is just going to be the base times by the height. Well, if the base is 20, the height is also 20 because the square has the base and the height the same. all four sides the same length. So it's going to be, we're not going to have too much space here. So 20 times 20, which is going to be 400. So the next thing to do then is to work out this shaded area. And we can see that the shaded area is the semicircle taken away from the quarter circle. So let's work out the area of the quarter circle. Area of the quarter circle. Now they've been a bit cheeky with this because what they've done is they've called it an arc of a circle. What they haven't done is they haven't told you it's a quarter circle. How do I know it's a quarter circle? Well, we know that the angles around a point are 360 degrees. We know that the angles in a square are 90 degrees. So this is going to be 90 degrees over 360 degrees, which is a quarter. You divide the top and bottom by 90 there. So this is a quarter of a circle. So we can do a quarter times by pi r squared. Now the radius of this quarter circle is going to be the length of the base. So the radius of the quarter circle is going to be 20. So we essentially have pi times 20 squared divided by 4 because it's a quarter of a circle. 20 squared we said is 400. So we have 400 pi over 4. 400 pi divided by 4 is going to be 100 pi. So we've got the area of the quarter circle. Now what about the area of the semicircle? Because to work out the shaded area, this is the quarter circle minus the semicircle down here. Let's switch to a nice orange color and let's work here. So the area of the half circle or the semicircle, well, this is going to be pi r squared divided by 2. We know that the radius is the length from the center of the circle to the edge. The diameter of it is 20, so the radius is going to be half of that, which is 10. So we're going to have pi times by 10 squared divided by 2. 10 squared is 100, so we have 100 pi over 2. 100 divided by 2 is 50, so we have 50 pi. So the shaded area then, well, that's going to be the quarter circle minus the half circle. So the shaded area, let's switch to purple. So the shaded area well, that's going to be the 100 pi minus the 50 pi. 100 pi minus 50 pi is going to be 50 pi. 100 pi minus 50 pi is going to be 50 pi. Now, the area of the shaded region over the area of the square, well, the area of the square was 400. The area of the shaded region is 50 pi. So it's going to be 50 pi over 400. Now we can divide the top and bottom both by 50, and we're going to get pi over 8. We could divide by 10 and then divide by 5. That's going to do the same thing, but either way, we can see that it's going to be pi over 8. Talk to me, guys. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Did we get that? Did that make sense? Was there anybody who didn't get it, but it makes sense for now? If you are in that group, please let me know in the chat because I'd really love to hear if that helped anybody. Let's see. Haha, might have said that made so much sense. Awesome. Fashion Diva said, thank you. It makes so much sense. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. That's so good to hear. Reynaldo said, good explanation. Awesome. Unknown OB says, I got everything but the blue writing. Okay, definitely that's one to watch the recording for. Definitely that's one to watch the recording for. Okay, after this question, guys, we are going to do one more question. But before we do, I have got a favor to ask. I've got a very quick, very easy favor to ask. And that is, guys, please could you leave me a quick review on Trustpilot? Please could you leave me a quick review on Trustpilot? And if you could do it during the session right now, that would be absolutely amazing. I have some free stuff. I have some paid stuff. My real focus and what I really want to be able to do is to keep giving out and keep putting out this free content and especially do the free lives. I'll always do free videos, but I really want to keep doing free lives. The only way I can keep doing free lives is if we can get these reviews and kind of build the profile and, you know, build the profile and get reviews. So I'm going to ask, guys, if you want me to keep doing these free sessions, please, please, please consider leaving a quick Trustpilot review. It'll only take 2 minutes. And then we'll go through it. Okay. And then we're going to go through one more question is what I meant to say. Not we'll go through it. We'll go through one more question. Let me know, does the link work, guys? Does that link work? It should work. I'm going to finish with a good one. What's going to be really beneficial? Let's finish with... We're going to finish with this one because everybody can give it a go and not many people know it. We're going to finish with this one. Okay, it says the site may be harmful. Okay, it's only a Trustpilot link. So go to site. Okay, so if you go to that page, you just have to click go to site and it will take you there. So you just click go to site. It's just a Trustpilot link. I'm not trying to scam you. I hope you can tell. It's just a Trustpilot link. If you could do that, guys, it would be absolutely amazing. You just have to click the link and then you click go to site and then leave the quick review. And like I say, I really want to keep doing these free sessions. And this is the way that we're going to be able to do it. Richard says, Matt is genuine. What's the link for? It's a review for a Trustpilot link. Hey, Adam and Richard, good to have you guys. Good to have you. Somebody, Francis said, Matt wants our bank details. Okay, Midas said, multiple transformations are not in my syllabus, y'all, so I'm going to chill. Midas, actually, look, the question says single transformation. Describe the single transformation. It's not a multiple transformations question. I feel like I have to zoom out a bit for this one. Just a little bit. I love how people are like really concerned whether it's genuine or not. Okay, let's have a look then. I've given a few minutes for that. Come on, team. Let's finish strong. Drop ready in the chat when you're ready for me. I just want to make sure that everybody's back on the stream before I go through it and that nobody's in there leaving a review. If you started typing one, you can come back to the stream and then hit send afterwards. A couple of people asking when the next live is. Guys, every week now, 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on a Monday. Okay, 2006 Genie says ready. Unknown's ready. Mr. Lightning's ready. Fantastic. Krishni Patel has an answer in there. I've not seen many other answers in there. Let's have a look. So, question number 13, guys. Question number 13. Describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A or triangle A onto triangle B. Now, the first thing that I want to draw attention to is it's triangle A onto B. Normally, when we see a smaller shape go and a bigger shape, it's going to be the smaller shape to the bigger shape. But this time, it's the bigger shape to the smaller shape. So describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto, or triangle A onto triangle B. How are we going to do it? Well, step number one, it's a single transformation, and we see that the size has changed. The size of the shape has changed. We've gone from a big triangle to a small triangle. So we know it's an enlargement. Now, even though we've gone from big to small, it's still an enlargement. It's still an enlargement. We just adjust for it by having a fractional scale factor. So it's an enlargement. But we need to describe it fully. What does that mean? We need three things. We need what it is, an enlargement. We need the scale factor, and we need the center of enlargement. So what is next? The scale factor. The scale factor. Well, the scale factor tells us how many times bigger or smaller the shape is. Now, two things here. Number one, the shape has changed orientation. The right angle was in the bottom left, it's now in the top right. So it's changed orientation, it's kind of flipped. What that means is that the scale factor has to be negative. That's the only thing which can reverse the orientation and be an enlargement. Next thing, how many times bigger is it? Well, let's count how tall this side is, 1, 2, 3 units, and how tall the corresponding side is on the other shape, 1 unit. So it's a third as big. So the scale factor is negative because it's changed orientation, 1/3 because it's a third as big. Now, how do we find the center of enlargement? To find the center of enlargement, we're going to draw lines from each of the points before the transformation to each of the points after. So the top of the small side to the top of the small side, the right angle to the right angle, and then the end to the end. And what we see is that all of these join at a point. And the point that they all join at is going to be the center of enlargement. So it's going to be centered at 2 in the x and 2 in the y. So center 2, 2. So much information in that question, guys. So much information. So much information. Okay, talk to me. Jury, congratulations. Said, OMG, I did this correct. Nice work, Jury. Hey, Fashion Diva said, thank you. You're very welcome. And guys, that is going to be the final question of today's session. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes to do a little bit of a chilled out Q&A, answer any questions that you have about GCSE maths, about revision, about the live streams and stuff. Then I'm going to head off. Maybe not 5 minutes because I do have to go. So maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Oh yeah, the other thing, before everybody signs out, at the end of every single live stream, what do? We throw a little party. And what is the party? The party is a little celebration of just another hour of high quality focused revision done. So guys, I would love you to spam the chat full of as many good vibe emojis as you can. Dancer emojis, disco emojis, party emojis, lightning bolt emojis, all of that good stuff. Yeah, Neve's in there. Neve's in there. Couple of people asking if I'm a teacher. So I don't teach in a school, but I do teach privately. So I do one-to-one sessions and that kind of stuff, or I have done for a long time. I'm kind of doing it a bit less nowadays. But yeah, fantastic. Fashion Divas partying. Maria, good to have you still, is partying. Richard's partying. Neve is as well. Fantastic, guys. Fantastic. 52VV is in there with those cold emojis. Muzzy says, Whippy, congrats, guys, on your first hour of revision with Matt. Absolutely, guys. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the community. We're going to be here every Monday, 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Quite a good turnout today, 45 of us. Hopefully, we're going to run that up and we're going to be running with 100, 200, 300, even 1,000 of us. Last year, the day before the exam, we had about 2,000 of us on the stream. So we're going to build it up and hopefully build a nice community for everybody. 52VV in there with every shade of thumbs up. Yeah, Destroydo says, good to be here. Good to have you. Good to have you. Okay. Okay. Guys, that's all from me tonight. I'm going to say, arrivederci, hasta luego, ciao, ciao, ciao. It's been a pleasure tonight, guys. I will see you next Monday. Bye for now.